morning, Captain. Before we start, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and take an oath. And then for the record, please state your name, your title. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth? I do. Thank you. Please state your name for the record and your title, please. Just so we have it on record. Please state your name and your title for the record. Jermaine Nekaifes, Captain. Thank you very much, sir. I recognize the legal counsel.
Thank you, Representative. Representatives, I apologize, but if again I could renew my objection to the subpoena, it will be an ongoing objection.
I now want to ask our legal counsel, since you did receive the written objection of the legal counsel to various witnesses from DPS and DOC, can you please relate what the concerns or the objections are, and if this panel, this committee, first let's start with that. What are the objections?
Representatives, one of our first objections to the subpoena is that within the House bill and in the subpoena itself, it does not clearly state which authority is given to this committee to issue subpoenas. It's not our opinion that this committee is acting improperly. Rather, we are just exercising our rights to have proper notice under what authority this committee does have the authority to issue subpoenas. There are other issues individually with the subpoenas. I won't name them individually right now, as they do differ from subpoena to subpoena, but if the legal counsel wishes to talk to me, I'd be happy to speak with him.
I think this committee needs to understand if we are within our authority to act. Otherwise, everything we've been doing is an exercise in futility. So I want to ask our legal counsel to please, you are aware of the concerns raised by the legal counsel from DPS. Can you respond to that, John?
Yes, a written response which contained most of the objections has been received.
Can you please state what those concerns are? We want to know if we have complied.
The major concern is the statement of authority of the committee. The statement in the subpoena cites the constitutional authority, the statutory authority, and the House rules under which the committee is acting. Council may be objecting to a more detailed statement of the actual authority, which would have been the appointment of the committee by the Speaker, the action taken by the committee by majority vote to issue subpoenas, but it's just been a general objection.
And legal counsel, John, I want to ask you your legal opinion. And let's go one by one. Does the Constitution give the legislature the authority to initiate impeachment proceedings?
Impeachment proceedings, yes.
Does the authority of this committee, as appointed by the Speaker, does this committee have the authority as an investigative committee, since we were appointed by the Speaker of the House, the presiding officer?
Yes, it does.
Is this committee empowered by Constitution, by statute, and by rules, specifically the House rules, to investigate the articles of impeachment and issue subpoenas?
Yes.
Counsel, can you then enlighten us what is the problem here?
As I understand it, the subpoena did not contain a detailed description of the manner by which the committee was appointed and the actions taken by the committee in issuing subpoenas. Although I believe in respect to some of the subpoenas, we actually attached a voting record of the committee authorizing the issue of subpoenas.
John, with your legal advice is consistent with what this committee has intended to do from the very beginning. And for the record, before the first thing this committee did, before when it first, the first day of the meeting, was to research and to ensure that it did have the powers to conduct this investigation. And we did look at the Constitution, the laws, and the rules of this House. Furthermore, this committee adopted special rules to be able to initiate the investigation of the articles contained in House Resolution 17-111. In addition to that, we have introduced in the House Resolution, I can't cite the resolution, but in addition to 17-111, we also pre-filed a resolution further ensuring or requiring that this committee is empowered to conduct investigations. So, ma'am, for the record, and your objection is duly noted, but for the record, it is our position that this committee is empowered to conduct investigations, issue subpoenas, compel the testimony of witnesses, and so forth. Any further questions from the members before we proceed? Representative Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I was just going to ask that the legal counsel make advice to the chair in regards to the objection, and based upon his response, that we take note of the objection and proceed with these proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Sablan. And for the record, Captain Nekaifes, you did say you were captain, and for the just to clarify, you are the captain at the Department of Public Safety.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We can proceed with the questioning. Members?
Mr. Chair.
I recognize Captain Nekaifes.
Mr. Chair, I just want to exercise my Fifth Amendment, and I would like to request from the members if I could be given ample time to get myself a lawyer to represent me. Thank you.
Captain Nekaifes, I didn't hear your legal counsel withdraw herself as your attorney.
Representatives, at this time, because Captain Nekaifes has requested has invoked his rights to the Fifth Amendment and individual counsel, I do respectfully withdraw at this time.
Representative Sablan.
Thank you. Legal counsel, before you step away, can you? Mr. Chairman, you know the subpoenas issued provided the notice that the subpoenaed witnesses be accompanied by an attorney of their choice, and I am dismayed that a member of the Attorney General's office would show up and only to excuse herself. This is a waste of government resources for a member of the Attorney General's office using public funds to appear before this committee only to excuse themselves. Let me ask the Assistant Attorney General now, are there any other members of of DPS that you are going to appear on behalf only to excuse yourself?
Representatives, I apologize for the delay. It is not my intention to cause any sort of runaround, merely to follow the laws as they are established. My office represents the Department of Public Safety as an entity and those who work for the Department of Public Safety. I have advised those who work for the Department of Public Safety of their rights and have given them their individual choice to invoke them. Up until this time, I was legal counsel for Captain Nekaifes as an entity of the Department of Public Safety. However, now as he has chosen to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights, he is now proceeding in an individual capacity, apart from the Department of Public Safety, and at this time, it is only now that he needs to seek independent counsel, and for that reason is why there's delay, so that Captain Nekaifes can seek his individual rights. Accordingly, there may be other officers that choose to do so. As their counsel, I've advised them of their rights, and it's their choice whether to invoke those rights. Thank you, Representatives.
And ma'am, for the record, because in your own words you have advised officers of their right to counsel, is the alternative of what's happening now ever discussed between you and the officers? Of showing up, withdrawing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
In your own words, you said that you had discussions and advised the officers that they have right to their own personal legal counsel. Is the alternative of what's happening now ever discussed among you and the officers? I ask that you because if that is the case, that upon taking the time to discuss this issue with potential witnesses or subpoenaed witnesses to this committee, only to waste everybody's time, have everybody show up, plead the Fifth, withdraw, and then have the committee issue or authorize the witnesses additional time to come back. Is that what's happening now ever an option in your discussions? Because I am dismayed that resources of the government are being wasted here.
Representatives, again, I do apologize for what appears to be a runaround or any sort of a waste of government resources. Because I do have attorney-client privilege, I cannot discuss what was discussed between me and my former client. All I can say is that some of these matters do sometimes take a little time of decision-making on behalf of the client, and that this is a right that he has under the United States Constitution that doesn't go away, and I do believe it is his right to thoughtfully choose to exercise it and exercise it at this time. Thank you.
You know, the issue I asked that is because the subpoena is clear. that they might be accompanied by an attorney of their choice. And the officers, the two officers that have appeared before this committee so far, have appeared with you as the legal representative, and now and I understand it's their legal rights to do that and for you to withdraw, but I just wish on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth that this so-called and I don't want to use the word, but you know, I'm just disgusted with what I've witnessed so far this morning. Taking into consideration that the witnesses have their own their legal rights. As a member of this legislature and this community in particular, I personally don't appreciate what's transpiring here this morning. Thank you, Chair.
I now recognize Representative Guerrero.
Actually, we all have to recognize that everybody is afforded their rights. These proceedings are not a slam dunk. If every single person out there wants to come in and assert their rights, it's their right. It's their rights. We just have to go with it and bear. We cannot tell them what to do. We cannot. We can force them to come, but we cannot assert what is not within their rights. We can only assert what is within our threshold to assert. But they have rights also, and if they didn't have those rights, we would be bearing down on them, and we wouldn't really be having this this impeachment, right? So, if every single one of them want to assert their rights, they're welcome to do so. It may be a circus to some, but I take every bit of this very seriously. I know all of us do, and if it may appear to be heading in that direction, it's probably that direction that we would have to take, because everyone is afforded their rights. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Guerrero. I think all of us here are cognizant of the right for a witness to have representation. 1 CMC 1303A states, every witness at a hearing of an investigation or an investigating committee may be accompanied by counsel of his or her own choosing, who may advise the witness as to the witness' rights, subject to reasonable limitations which the committee may prescribe to prevent obstruction of or interference with the orderly conduct of the hearing. So yes, the witness has a right to legal representation. I think the subpoena that we sent to every individual witness inform them that they have a right to representation. I think this committee was expecting that the witness has already decided whether to have representation and who will represent them before they come to appear before this committee. And it's now becoming apparent that the witnesses come in with representation only for that legal counsel to withdraw. And I think the second part of 1303, 1 CMC 1303A states that this committee may also prescribe to prevent what I think some members are seeing as an obstruction or delay. So for the record, witnesses who are going to appear before this court were given reasonable time to pick their legal counsels. when they appear before this committee, we expect those witnesses to have decided already who their legal counsel should be. Go ahead, counsel.
Representatives, if I may respectfully differ with that statement, I do believe that Captain Nekaifes did choose the counsel of his picking. He did choose the counsel that was provided to him in his official capacity at the Department of Public Safety. It was who he expected to be his counsel. It was only through private conversation with him as his counsel that I later that I informed him of his ability to invoke rights, and because he did choose to invoke those rights that he has, it was my obligation ethically to withdraw as counsel, and it is not his choice for me to withdraw as his counsel. Accordingly, I would respectfully differ with the statement that any of the officers here chose counsel specifically for delaying purposes. It was my choice to withdraw as counsel, as I saw was my professional obligation. Thank you.
So noted. Is there anything else before I dismiss the, I will ask the witness, as we did the previous witness, again, a reasonable amount of time to secure your legal counsel of your choosing. Again, I ask, is it reasonable for you to secure a legal counsel within the time frame that we asked of Officer Patrice, which is 3 days?
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure. I cannot promise you on the time that you mentioned 3 days. I cannot answer that right now.
Mr. Chair,
Representative Tep, then Representative De La Cruz.
I was going to motion with that statement made by Captain Germain that I motion that we do provide for a 3-day time frame for him to return to the witness stand. That's a motion.
Before I recognize that motion, may I just allow Representative De La Cruz to make a statement?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it appears that we are going through this motion of swearing in individuals and then having the Assistant Attorney General recuse herself from representing these individuals. It has become apparent that this is what we look forward to today. And I guess that in order for us to stop wasting our time and wasting the Assistant Attorney General's time, that we should look at all the individuals on the list and, if need be, reschedule everyone for Friday. I do believe that, and you're right, the committee has taken every measure to ensure that the subpoenas were in conformance with the laws and the Constitution of the Commonwealth. And I also believe that this Assistant Attorney General is obstructing the actions of this body. She stated just earlier that Captain Germain has legal representation. He has chosen to have legal representation. In fact, we don't know who this legal counsel is. But she has stated that he has his own legal representation. Where is this legal counsel? And why is the Assistant Attorney General here? Wasting her time and our time. Where is the legal counsel? Again, Mr. Chair, this is becoming to be a mockery. Really. With all due respect to Captain Nekaifes, again I say, you were subpoenaed within the 5-day period. You had all the time to secure legal counsel to represent. But it appears now that we have one legal counsel, who's the Assistant Attorney General, that is basically blocking the process on all corners here, so that this committee can begin to ask the questions as it relates to the 3 articles. Mr. Chair, I would ask that, again, instead of wasting our time here, let us know all the individuals on the list so that the legal counsel can say they're pleading the 5th, and then give him the 3 days. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative De La Cruz. I think rather than going one by one and having the same results, I'm gonna ask that we have a short recess. I'm gonna instruct the legal counsel to please meet with all of the DPS individuals that were called to witness, and to find out if every witness is going to invoke their right for their own legal counsel. So we don't do this one by one. I'm going to have a short recess. If there's no objection from the members, the legal counsel can check and then appear before us. If they so choose to retain their own independent legal counsel, I will reschedule and will give every witness up until Friday to appear before this body at 1 o'clock and to secure their legal counsel by then. I think the committee is well within its rights, as prescribed in 1 CMC 1303, to ensure the orderly conduct of our hearing. So with that, I'm going to, Representative Guerrero, did you want to make a statement before? Is that fine? Is there any objection? Representative Tepetep?
The motion stands.
I think my instructions are consistent with your motion to have it on Friday.
So I'll withdraw.
Thank you very much. I will now call short recess for